you remember what life used to be like? Humankind wasn't intended to live this way. They start to accept that this is just life. This is the way it is. The deliverer keeps pulling them back and leads the revolt because they want to take their world back. And they want to get back to the way they should be and what life used to be. Today we fight to bring it back. I want you to join me in this.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
And now your host, Brock Lawley.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brock Lawley. I am the Atheist Antidote. This is my mini podcast where I break down many articulations of my world. I am the prime rib amidst the $4.99 Ponderosa buffet of leftist secular extremist thinking that you are unfortunately subject to on a regular basis. All right, guys, this one's going to be a little bit of just fleshing out of ideas. You know, as a Christian, as a conservative Christian, one of the biggest things you hear from opponents of this worldview is that we're so anti-science. We hate science. Did you know that? Did you know that? Because if you don't know that, you know, just ask one of these guys, and they'll make sure they tell you how much we hate science. Except there's an Achilles heel in that argument. It's unfortunate for them, actually, because we don't hate science. In fact, science, as we know it, as the West enjoys it, is built on the freedom of ideas that Christianity provided. Now, that's just historical fact. That's historical fact that will certainly be ignored, but it is historical fact. And any more to say that something is fact is almost the non sequitur, because nobody really cares if it doesn't align with your worldview. But it is fact, actually. Not even a mystery to scientific historians. But anyway, here's the thing I find to be interesting. Science is really just the pursuit of truth. It's just a pursuit of truth about the material world around us. Christians in no way oppose this. Now, there's a lot of propaganda out there about what we believe, and you know, there's a lot of talk about how Christians hate evolution and all this nonsense. But Christians have absolutely no war with science whatsoever. What actually exists, and then it's spun and painted in a very convenient way. What exists is there are a lot of people who have rejected religion, and in the West specifically the Christian religion by and large, for myriad of reasons. They were hurt, they were angry, they were frustrated, their parents, their church, their community. It runs the gamut. Who knows what the individual micro reason is? And they get very, very, very angry with the Christian religion. Sometimes it comes down to just the simple fact of Christian religion actually does hold black and whites. You know, we do have things that we say are right and wrong, and that annoys people, and so on and so forth. But whatever the reason is, people get angry, and it's a very visceral thing. In fact, if you talk to them for very long, you'll see that. It's very, very visceral. And, you know, this is sort of the motivating factor for them. And then they turn around and they find this sort of haven of rest, this sort of supplementary religion in science, which really is never meant to operate as a religion. Science is simply a pursuit of truth, again, concerning the material world around us. It really has nothing to say of philosophy, it has nothing to say of morality, it has nothing to say of, you know, the great issues, the ultimate issues of life. It really has nothing to do with that. And, you know, pure scientists, good scientists are ready to openly admit that. And the concern, of course, is that with all this smoke and mirrors and all these, like, trumped up wars between religion and science, what actually lies on the altar of all this crap is science. Because, you know, the average secular extremist, they want to pick up science and use it as some sort of weapon in their arsenal. Again, motivated by this hatred of Christianity. So they want to take it and they want to find some way of blundering this thing that they hate, this perceived enemy that religion is in their mind. And then there are others who genuinely do think that those of us who have a vibrant faith are, you know, sitting around, you know, a danger to other people, because we have, a faith in something bigger than this tangible world. Which, if anybody reads the most basic cutting-edge science, here is a profession and a practice and a pursuit that uses terms like multi-universes on a regular basis. And what I find to be ironic is, what is a multi-universe? But a present existing theory, a present existing hypothesis about a number of things that we, in our human state, in our humble human state, can't possibly know, at least at this point. But what I find interesting about, the multi-universe, for example, is they're really talking about what? Like another dimension, right? Another dimension that we don't either exist on or we don't maneuver within like we do in this one. How ironic, because in very similar ways, a Christian believes in a spiritual realm, which is very similar to a multi-universe. It basically means that the living, the tangible, is not the only thing that exists. That there is a bigger, something that trumps the mere matter that we touch and maneuver and manipulate on this earth. And so the funny thing is that I suspect what we will do is head into this actual dark age. By the way, the interesting thing is the term dark age is a very, very manipulative one. Because if you actually research that time period in history, it was actually rich with productivity. It was actually these sort of pseudo-intellectuals from Europe that sort of did a hatchet job on that section of history. But nonetheless, I believe that we are headed towards an actual dark age in which science is actually very much wounded. And it's not for the reasons that secular extremists would tell you, that these religious people are in some way a danger to science. No, it's because the pursuit of science is really becoming hijacked by this very dogmatic, ideological, segment of society that needs a substitute religion. Because in the end, the secular extremists and the God haters, they are wrong. They are wrong. And human beings are made to worship. They're made to worship a God. But they refuse to do that for a lot of reasons. Basically self-worship. And so they basically take that instinct and they place it in something that really has no business and no operational feature for that instinct. Science is nothing more than the pursuit of the material world. And it's dangerous. It's actually funny. The irony is, for all their loud barking and fuss and fury, the very people who laud science as the end-all and the most beautiful thing that the world has ever seen are the ones that, in the end, historians will write as the perpetrators who destroyed it, who severely wounded it, harnessed it with something as simply explained as just bigotry, hatred. It's as old as Cain and Abel. They hate a segment of people, and they see science as some weapon, some sort of sword to be wielded in that hatred. That's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. Thank you for listening. This is the Atheist Standard Podcast.
Social